Okay, hello everyone. We should be live right now. Welcome to the April Q&A live stream. Hi everyone, but before we even begin, please let us know if you can see us and hear us clearly and everything's well on the technical side of things. I guess Will and John, you can say hi just to make sure that it's
Hello. Hi.
picking up. Yeah.
Hi. Hopefully it's all coming through loud and clear.
Yeah. Yes, it's been a while since our last live stream. In fact, it's been a whole month since our last March monthly live stream. What a surprise! Yeah, it's been a quite exciting month for Top Drives, I could say. We're actually still waiting for Tim. He's gonna jump in very soon. He's just wrapping up some call. Thank you very much for confirming that our sign is all good. So yeah, welcome everyone to the live stream. We've got a lot of people today, over 100 people already watching. As usual, guys, we have 5 questions that we've picked from the KTPlay thread over the past 3-4 days. So thank you very much for sending those to us. There's been a lot of questions, mostly related to challenges, but many sort of recurring questions that we get often anyway. We did try to focus a bit more on challenges this time in our answers. So obviously, if you have any questions as you go, we're gonna have 4 people here. So just put them in the chat, and then we will be able to answer them hopefully. But we have there's Tim. There we go. There's go. Yeah. Welcome, Tim.
Hello.
We couldn't start without you. I think you're a bit muffled. I think your microphone is a bit muffled, Tim.
Oh, not that again. Oh man.
I think it's okay. I think it's not too bad right now.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So I think we'll it should be fun. So yeah, as I said, 5 questions plus about 5-6 questions that we picked that are sort of secondary, that we're not going to give carbon fiber packs. But otherwise, if we chose your question and answered it during this live stream, then what's going to happen next is I'm going to get in touch with you on KTPlay and I will award you with a pack, and you actually don't really have to do anything. I will award you on my own because I know your IDs. Thanks KTPlay. So yeah, this will happen probably tomorrow morning is when I'm gonna send you all these. But are you guys all doing fine today? Yeah, all 4, John, Tim, and Will. Yeah, all good.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Good day.
Yeah, so challenges, yeah, exciting, yeah, something that people have been waiting for a while, and obviously we've had the Year of the Ox, very exciting challenge, and so far feedback has been very good. Obviously there are some minor issues here and there, but from like sort of technical side of things, we haven't really seen any major issues, which is great. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as well and had a chance to win the BMW M3 GTR. We did a showcase episode, which was a little bit too late. I agree, but we had to pack so many things into one episode because we had just things coming in that. Well, at least we delivered that, and hopefully this helped you a little bit. There's 3 of them, not 4 made. Yeah, I think there's 4 of us. Yeah. Yeah, let's go to the first question. I mean, we've got about an hour, so the first question comes from the player. Their name is ID 538329706, and the question is specifically about challenges. What is your first impression after the introduction of the new challenge system? Are you satisfied with it so far? Do you have any improvements in mind? What will the challenge look like in the future? Will there still be weekly challenges, or are they going to be replaced? So
That's more than one question.
Yeah.
But hey, challenges, question mark.
Yeah, so ID 53 immediately gets 5 carbon fiber packs for
5 great questions.
I'm joking.
No, I just got. I think Tim, you'll have a lot of sort of deep views in this. I was just going to jump in really quickly with a kind of just to highlight really the fact that actually, although this is kind of obviously sort of a theme challenge that everybody is playing at the moment, it kind of represents an even bigger sort of piece of work behind the scenes, which is just some incredibly powerful new challenge tools and functionality. So I just thought, yeah, it's that's not always going to be seen, by the players, quite, sort of for obvious reasons. But yeah, I think what's the challenge itself is really exciting, and I think for the team and hopefully for the players as well in time, what's really exciting is it actually just represents an incredibly flexible new set of tools.
That's right. And like you say, it's kind of invisible, right? Because we put the update out and we go, okay, the new challenge system, and then players like, where's the challenge then? And then a challenge went up, and the first one was quite similar to an old one, but with the new attempt system, they're like, is that it? Doesn't seem that different. And then Year of the Ox came out. It's like, oh, okay, you start to see, this fully operational power of this system doing some crazy stuff you've not seen before. What I would just say, I was thinking about it, and you remember, when Top Drives came out, we had events. It came out like 31st of August 2017. And then it wasn't until late that year, like November, December, that the Tri-Series got invented. And I feel like it's a little bit like we're in that period for challenges. We've got all these levers and things we can do. We don't really know what makes the most sense. So we're going to try some things and find out. Obviously, we did a bit of this before, and this whole idea of the collection series came together, and that clearly seemed to work quite well. And now the challenge system means we can do that without you having to keep around these annoying little prize cards that we used as keys. So that's good. But again, it just feels like this is just the beginning, right? We're going to try things out. So you saw Year of the Ox. You saw the changes to the monthly challenge system. That's going to evolve a little bit more in the next arc. And then you see this thing going on right now with some sort of daily reward system. That's an interesting thing to try. I've seen players understand the system better as well. They realized, you could win a token, and then there could be 3 challenges, and you can choose which one to do, but you can only do one. So maybe you can choose between 2 different prizes or something. That's a possibility with this new system. So this is really what's going to happen, right? We've given ourselves all these new levers and tools. We are going to be trying them out in different ways. So specifically when people say, oh, what happened to the weekly challenge? It's like, the weekly challenge is like the equivalent of the daily event. It's like, whatever, man. That's not really that interesting. We're going to try and do some more interesting things from now. So yeah, just watch this space, keep playing it, keep seeing what it's like, keep giving us the feedback as well on how you're finding it, because this is a really fun discovery phase.
Yeah, no, like you said, it's a huge part of that. Is getting views on what's working, what's exciting people,
Yeah, I think it's also.
I just want to say my most exciting part, I thought about this before it came out, and then it was real, is that there's a weird thing with the ticket system where, especially if it was a very high stakes challenge, like the monthly one, you're going to win a legendary prize card here, you want to get it right. And very often what you would do, I would do it, loads of players would do it, you just go to the thread and go, which cards can beat this one? Well, oh yeah, I've got that one, I've got that one. Oh yeah, this will probably work. And then you do it. You're not really playing the game, you're just looking at the cheat codes. But you would be sort of silly not to do that. And now we've got this attempt system. You can keep trying over and over until you get it. And in Year of the Ox, that's what I was doing, a lot of that. And it's like I feel like I'm playing a game now instead of just looking up the answer. So some people said it's taken the challenge away. I think it's brought the challenge back, really, because you actually play it and try and solve it yourself. You can still go to the thread and find, oh, I could save RQ with that card. But it's much more in your hands now, which I think is great.
Yeah, I think that the players definitely, they bring up these, sort of concerns with our weekly challenge is going to go, and I think that the main reason why they're asking this is because, they get a certain amount of rewards, a sort of value from completing. And
it's always been there.
Yes,
for so long.
For 3 years. So it's absolutely understandable that people ask these questions when it's something like that goes away. But I think it's at this point it's kind of we got to start sort of not forgetting, but moving from the sort of old paradigm of having these weekly challenges. That just forget everything you knew about challenges. This is what everything we've done before is gonna change mostly. So and we're gonna be bringing more challenges. But just to be clear, when we say more challenges, we don't really mean that there's gonna be always some kind of a challenge running. Although I think that I'm not sure if there's sort of intention there. We don't really mean that. We just mean that there's going to be super exciting big events that contain multiple challenges in them, and they're usually going to be longer as well. For example, the Year of the Ox took 15 days, right? The The one that started this morning, Road to Riches, is 15 days as well. So they're going to be running for longer periods of time and giving you this sort of flexibility. You don't have to play today, but you might have to play tomorrow. Obviously, you have to still compete for tokens and items to be able to progress, depending on the design. But you can literally forget so many things about challenges. We can come up with so many different interesting ideas. So far, only the second one has started. So there is still a lot to learn, a lot of adjustments to make, and yeah, we're definitely super excited about all of this, really. And we've seen some great feedback about Year of the Ox. You know, I would personally say, when I was looking for feedback just to give to the team, mostly it was positive. You know, minor issues here and there, but everyone seemed to have really enjoyed it. So yeah, with regards to weekly challenge itself, yes, it's probably not going to be the same as it used to be, but we are hoping to bring something much more interesting instead of that, while also giving you an opportunity to earn the same, if not more, value, or the same prizes that you were earning in the weekly challenges, but maybe across like a slightly longer, different period of time, in this case 15 days. So rewards should not go down. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think the team is really I'm happy with the progress so far, and of course we've had some minor these sort of requirements issues at the very beginning where we had to go back and forth a little bit changing them, but this is I think we've addressed those quite quickly, and people appreciate that as well. So this is something we're keeping a very close look on. So yeah. Right. So that was question number 1. Do we have? I mean, I hope it answers really this. Are we satisfied? Yes, we're satisfied. Do you have any improvements in mind? I mean, I guess not from. I guess from a technical point of view, there are improvements, but mostly what I'm trying to say is that we're just gonna do these events or challenges so versatile and diverse that and enjoyable that they're not gonna be anything like we've had before. And then yeah, on the weekly challenge, I've already addressed that. So, do we have any questions from the comments, guys? Yes, no.
Well, let's just do question 0, right? Question 0. What about Toyota and Ferrari and Tesla? Right, it comes up every time. Any brand that is not in the game, we want it to be in the game. Those discussions are ongoing. We can't talk about it because it could actually harm those discussions, and there are always complications we can't talk about. And that's the way it is. That's the way it always is. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly this thing actually about Toyota, so you got me there.
It's funny, yeah. Sorry, just on that, they're such different manufacturers in some ways, but they almost like in at least in the top drives world, they somehow carry the same kind of weight. I think if we ever did add Toyota, we would really have to go to town on a lot of their motorsport stuff, and just make the absolute most of them arriving in the game. But they've got some a great history of some very iconic track cars. So
yeah. I played another mobile game that had Toyota cars in it. I was like, you guys, how did you do that? This game isn't even that good. I probably did. Anyway, some people manage, hey.
Yeah, but we're going to keep talking about challenges, and where this is not, the only live stream where we're talking about this. I'm going to talk about challenges in the Friday live streams, and then we might have some videos in the future, some posts. So there's always going to be discussion about this, and we are always keen to see your feedback. And by the way, hi Welsh boy, nice to see you in the live stream. So shall we go to the next question? Yep. The next question comes from the user Dr. Minty, and the question is about common cars. Can we please have an answer on if we need to keep common key cars for future events, example the Imperial, or are Top Drive skis going to completely replace such requirements? Loads of people in chat rooms are asking this question. So we did kind of touch upon this previously, but yeah, I'll let Tim explain what's happening with those.
Yeah. So the ones you absolutely must keep right now, right, is the Alpha S3, because that will be needed in ARCs 7 and 8 of the monthly challenge. So definitely keep all those that you have. Well, you need at least 2. If you have 3, you could get rid of 1. But what applies to that third one and all the others is like we always say, well, we like to keep our options open, and maybe we'll think of a cool thing to do where you need prize cars. And the only time that is definitively ruled out is when we put out an update that takes those cars out of the prize card pool and puts them back into the main pool. You will see that happen. You will know at that point it is definitely 100% safe, because you can just get it again. And what we're looking at doing is like, okay, we could probably, like the very oldest ones, we could put back in. I think the Smart 4.2 is technically the oldest one, but like John, I think you mentioned last time, every manufacturer has to have a prize car in it. There's a deep bit of code there. So the Smarts will stay as prize cars. But the ones that we start to give after that, they will start to switch out. The Austins as well. If you never completed the Austin challenge, there's this idea, which is not certain. Again, nothing is certain, but possibly we could rerun it if you didn't beat it the first time. And if you have some Austins, but not all of them, I would keep those for sure, just in case that is the way we go. But that's not confirmed. Yeah, that's about what we can say.
So the summary, keep them for now until we start declassifying them, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly. And then you know you're safe.
Yeah. So yeah, we would probably still advise you guys to keep them until we remove the prize card tags, and then obviously you after that you'll be able. And then we what is our sort of are we aiming to declassify them somewhere around like big updates, small updates? Do you know about that at all, or how long do we have to wait basically?
The declassification process, it's all tied up with the whole car update process, right? I believe it's not trivial to just go, oh, we'll just knock those prize tags off. Boom, there we go, we do an update. I think it's only if we're going to do an update where we change a bunch of cars, we do some corrections, or we add some new cars, or whatever it is. It's one of those updates that's when it would happen. If it's an update that doesn't change cars, we're not going to do it because it would be inefficient to do that whole system again just to take a few tags off.
Yeah, I think that answered this, because we can't really talk about our upcoming updates specifically giving you any sort of date, so that's why we just give you as much as we can really at the moment. What's up with the pink headphones? It was a gift. I didn't choose them, so it's not not on me.
I feel like we should start every one of these with Ferrari and Toyota update, and then an update on your headphones as well.
Yeah.
Right, so excellent question, Dr. Mincy. So we're happy to give a little bit more on that to you today this time, because previously we would always be sort of shrugging off this a little bit because we weren't sure, but today we're at least giving you something. Next question comes from Square Mango. And I chose this question because it's something that I don't think anyone has asked before, but will you ever look into offline compatibility? For example, if there's no reception, you can still upgrade cars or open packs, but obviously multiplayer events wouldn't work. But Square Mango thinks that it would be a nice touch if we could, for example, do some actions like upgrading some cars while being offline.
So, as you were speaking, I was trying to think of the best way of sort of answering this. I think it's probably fair to say that this just simply comes down to one of those big development questions. Like when we were first building top drives. Well, actually, sorry. Then there's almost two halves to this. There's kind of like why is it in its current form, and then what might we change in the future. But yeah, when we were building top drives, it's a big decision. Hutch hadn't done a lot of what we call server authoritative games, which obviously sort of rely on the kind of the connection to work. And when we were building this, it's just not straight. Obviously, sort of a completely offline game is nice and straightforward. It's actually easier building a fully online game than it is doing a kind of hybrid model in the middle. It's just that in the middle, when you can have change, basically when the game needs to be able to handle offline and online states, you just get in a situation that one of the most complex things the teams have to deal with from a technology point of view is ensuring player profiles and just the state of the game is correct, and you're not getting weird overlapping saves or overlapping data. So it's just hugely complex, and it was just...
Well, just to give the example, right? You can play on two devices. So what happens if you go offline on both devices and then you play on both of them? What's happened?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Like you could spend all your money upgrading cars on this one, and on this one you upgrade different cars, and then you come online. What's the reality? We did this on Hill Dash 2, right? Hill Dash 2 was a hybrid. We made that game, we did that thing. It was complicated, it was horrible. You could do shenanigans as well, like there's people changing their currencies, and then we're like, oh no, we ruled that out this way, and then like, oh no, there's this other way you can do it. Dang. Keeping the game secure, that's another part of it. It is really complicated. I tell you, the one thing I did like on this is, when you're selling your cars from the pool, right? And we do a little server call to say, I've sold this car. Okay, that's logged now. You have sold that car. Brilliant. And then you do another one. And you just have to wait a little bit each time. And it would be kind of nice if you could just mash through them, and then you come out, and then a big server call goes up going, oh, yeah, they all got sold. That would be kind of convenient, but it's quite a heavy bit of tech to put in to solve one little problem. Probably not going to be very high up the list. So,
yeah. I mean, definitely sort of, totally appreciate the question. And, when it comes down to it, it was a call made to actually kind of deliver something that we felt was going to be a, stable, reliable, sort of solid experience, going forward. Yeah. In terms of kind of, where it goes in the future, I don't think there's going to be any huge sort of rewrites or anything like that. I think as Tim says that, there might be the odd scenario kind of creeps up the quality of life list at some point. Wouldn't completely rule it out, but it was it was I think it was the right call to make. But I accept that it can be frustrating. I mean, a lot of us travel into, not these days, but a lot of us traveled into London on the underground and everything, and and had very sporadic connections, and definitely get the fact it can be frustrating. But it's very much in the sort of underlying technology strategy of the game, really. Yeah. I had this yesterday. 2 minutes to the end of events, and then I put the cars in, and they're spiraling. I'm like, oh no, here it goes. I really want to do well in these events, and then I was like, oh, my Wi-Fi's gone down. It's not the servers. Quick, switch to 4G. Switch to 4G. I managed to get it in there. But that's reality. And events as well. That's never going to go away. You've got to have the server authority to say this player did this, and they got it in time, and they won. Yeah. So yeah.
But it's a great question. I've not. It's the first time I see it, so which is unusual. Yeah. So it's a great job, Square Mango. So we do actually have quite a few things to talk about. So we're gonna just go straight to the next question, because we want to talk about overfill brackets at the end as well a little bit. Something I wanted to mention today, because people were asking to address it in the live stream. So we'll go to the question number 4, which comes from username AirPorsche1. And this is just physics really for you, Johnny, I guess. Can you explain the snow physics? I've been seeing a lot of people being confused by how it works. There we go. Snow physics.
I think short answer is I probably can't explain it in a way that's going to be like lovely and clear. But it's the sort of thing where I was actually just having a look through some of the sort of the documents that the game reads from in terms of kind of tire frictions and things like that, just to remind myself. There is nothing special about snow. It's just at the extreme end of there's a part of the kind of entire car data sheets that go into the game just deals with kind of rolling coefficients of tires, and then the friction itself on the different tires, and then the different surfaces in the game. And there just is nothing special. It goes through all the tires, and it goes from kind of dry asphalt to wet to gravel to dirt to wet, and then sand and snow. We do have ice doesn't get used anymore, does it?
No, there's still ice. And
is it
that's even more extreme. And
yes.
People are like, why did that happen?
I thought at one point we were going to actually take it out, but there's ice is at the true extreme end. I mean, when we talk about kind of sand and snow, this isn't super precise, but we consider them to be sort of packed versions of both, roughly. And I was looking through it. I mean, snow is around about half. I mean, half across the tires. It's around half what sand is, or well, between a half and 3/4 in terms of kind of the friction that's available. Obviously, that's a bit approximate because you get infinite variations on sand and snow. So I think, short answer is it's not doing anything weird. It's not broken. There's no quirk to well, you can just, I was going to say that I guess what it does is at the extreme end of the values, when you throw in the different tires and traction control and the performance fingerprint stuff, I guess can start looking like it throws up some unusual cases. I'll let you jump into it.
There are a lot of factors. Some are less obvious than others, right? The thing that is weird is what it comes to be known as the engine traction bonus, right? If you are upgraded you have more traction. It's not obvious why that should be. It's not obvious in the game that that's happening, but it is. And very commonly, that's what will explain if you're in an off-road scenario and you have a better car, it's an epic, and the stats are better, and you lose to a worse car, but the worse car is maxed, and so it has more traction because it's maxed, right? And we've been saying for a very long time, that's probably silly, we should probably get rid of it, but it's a very big change. Actually, it will change a lot of results. We want to do it very carefully, and we'd want to give players a chance one-off to retune cars because of it. That's a pretty huge thing. We've felt like there's a lot of other things we want to do, like this challenge system, before messing with that, but we do want to address it. There are other things, right, that are less obvious to some people. I see players debate this, and some of them get it right. Some people seem to think like off-road tires are like glue. Like you get in a Mahari and you're trying to go up a 50% incline. It doesn't matter that you have off-road tires; they're not going to stick you to the surface. It does not have the power to get up there with that amount of traction. I don't care. Whereas if you run at it very fast with a car that has worse traction, but it's seriously powered, it's able to get enough grip, it can beat it. That there is some reality to that. There is some reality to that. Off-road tires are not magic. The other one is what people get confused about, the traction limit, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing we say. Wait, you look for the orange triangle. If you see the orange triangle above the car, that means it cannot go any faster, or it would wheel spin. So it's going as fast as it can while maintaining traction.
Yeah, and I think
and
that.
So, yeah.
No, I was just going to say that I think you definitely see quite a lot of scenarios where particularly kind of 0 to 60 times are kind of look like they should be massively in your favor or the opponent's favor, but they can almost be ignored when both cars are just hitting their traction limit on snow so quickly that they're just not really a factor.
Yeah, and you combine that with the other effect, and you can get really weird results. You can go, what's going on? I've got a better car, it's faster, it's way lower 0 to 60, and this other one just pulled away. It's more upgraded. Well, the mid-range acceleration is better, so the 0 to 60, you got none of that advantage because you were locked at the traction limit, and then you're going fast enough you can exceed the traction limit. Well, now it matters how fast you can pull out from that. So that does account for a lot. I will say this just in, I think there's something a little bit odd about cars slowing down off-road. I did do some test looking into that, and I think there's something else we should probably address at the same time as these other things, because ideally we fix all this in one go. You don't really want to, if you fix one bit and there's something else wrong, that other thing might become even more obvious and problematic. So I do think at some point there should be quite a big, like, okay, whoa, we're going to sort out a lot of these things in one go.
Yeah. So yes, I was kind of yes, my big bold claim over there being no quirks at all with it. needed some extra detail.
Bit of a caveat.
Yes, nothing. I think like you say is just, I think with snow being pretty much at the extreme end, the couple of things in the resolver and the physics that are actually apply, across the board are just really get highlighted by snow. So yeah.
But also that level of traction and stuff within real life throws up similar real quirks as well. I mean, there's plenty of sort of tests that have been done between cars which absolutely shouldn't be faster on snow against real life cars, and but they absolutely are, because these things, when you've got such a sort of such a surface where it's very difficult to to grip on it, lots of different factors play a part. So there is, for the fact that there are quirks almost makes it more real, because that's right. What happens in real life.
Yeah.
The classic one was the rear-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive, right? This was this debate we had because, and I think, wasn't the conclusion right? Okay, technically, if you're an ordinary kind of person, front-wheel drive is going to be better in low traction. But if you're a really skilled race car driver and you're trying to get around the track as fast as possible, rear-wheel drive is actually better, and that's why we give it more traction.
We did that right? Roughly, because we went with the not hypothesis, but the kind of the scenario that when you're accelerating off, the weight's going to shift to the back a bit and give you a bit more traction. But
yeah,
it was definitely, there were arguments on both sides, to be fair.
Again, there are arguments on both sides. It's not. It's certain. It can boil down to how drivers are suited. And I suppose in some respects there is the sort of the top driver, the one person, this imaginary person who has kind of is that. But again, certain drivers are more gifted or more suited to front wheel drive or rear wheel drive. And I suppose in some respects, you could never define which one's necessarily better because of that sort of factor. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very interesting discussion. Thank you, guys.
Nobody, I was just saying, nobody's ever suggested throwing winter tires into the mix. I don't think.
Wait, winter tires? What does that mean?
I guess you just get really good snow tires. Actually, well, I guess there's both. There's like winter road tires or then studded. Actually, I do like the idea about putting a kind of actual ice racing car into the game would be quite fun. Although we'd have to put a number of them in just to give us liquidity.
Because it's one of those weird things where studded tires would probably get you better traction on ice than kind of off-road tires would get you on mud. They're that effective. There'd be a really kind of strange kind of results that would apply then if you had studded tires on a car and see how it would accelerate, because you're compared to something else on mud, which should be perhaps faster but isn't, because the studded tires are exceptional. And that'd be a kind of a weird, that would add some more quirks into it.
It would definitely it would do that funny thing where the handling score would either have to be like really low, like because it's like dry asphalt. But it's like almost like you augment. It's that thing that I think we discussed a couple of episodes ago where you sort of, in some ways its peak performance is not dry asphalt, and then what does the handling score show?
Right. That would be weird, yeah.
All sorts of strangeness. So probably just move on.
Thanks, guys. I actually have one fresh from the sort of oven. I have one image that I need to show to everyone, and it relates to the next prize card for the Tri Series. So I've got
what?
I did some background things while you were all talking, and sent and forwarded from my laptop to my PC. But I'm gonna put it on the screen in a second if I manage to find it. There we go. Okay, let me bring it up a little bit. There we go. So I don't know, you probably, guys, if you're not if you're on the stream with me, you probably don't see this, but this is the next Tri Series prize car, which is the Porsche 911 GT1 road car, which is the rerun. Yes.
I think we've done that one.
Yeah, so this is the image that will go with it today, and obviously it's custom made and it looks really, really nice, and everyone on the live stream will be able to.
So, there it is.
Yeah, you guys will be able to see it very soon as well.
Lovely.
Yeah, but I just wanted to quickly show that to you. It just came very fresh during the live stream.
Yeah.
Is that the one? I'm pretty sure. Is that the one that's kind of like pulling up outside a pub in the photo in the game?
Yeah, I think that's the one, right?
I just love the idea that you've gone out for a Sunday drive in your 911 GT1 and just stopping off for a quick drink on the way home.
Yeah, but it's 2 reruns in a row. I don't know if this has happened ever before, not in my time at least, but this is how it is right now. But we already have sort of planned out, I think, 5 or 6 next prize cars, more or less, so we're gonna reveal them as soon as we can, of course, but when the time comes, but this is the next prize car. So 4 questions are done, and we go to the final question, which is also quite techy, quite directly just game sort of performance related. This question comes from a user called V8Eta. And the question is, why do cars not reach their top speed in the game? An M5, which is limited to 159 miles per hour, is running against the wall at 145 in game. In real life, it would run hard into its limiter. Yeah,
so just Will, I think you had a bit of sort of real world perspective on this, but a little bit just from a sort of kind of top drives. I think this might have come up briefly, or we covered it briefly in the past. It definitely goes. I know this probably isn't the greatest thing to say, but it definitely goes on the list of things that we are really aware of and would like to address. It's just very difficult. I mean, basically, obviously, so if every car has a there's kind of nuances and stuff like that, but there's a typical acceleration curve to a car. And as it approaches its high speed, its acceleration really starts leveling off, and so it takes ages to reach its top speed. When we have a car with a limiter, at the moment it it brings that curve in sort of a little bit, but not enough. So I think, as the question suggests, there are some cars that would be much faster than their 159 or 155 mile an hour limiter, and so should run into it quite quickly. I mean, it's now, I guess, I think, Will, you maybe made this point last time. It's not going to be a hard wall. You're not going to maybe sort of slam into it, but it should be. You should get up there faster than you would if that was the actual top speed of the car. The bit that causes so much complexity is that we obviously want to minimize the amount of sort of subjectiveness in the car data in the top drives world. At the moment, sort of I mean, there's a couple of areas. Obviously, there's not much granularity on ride height and a couple of other areas of stats. But where is it? Yeah. So and handling is obviously the big one, but that's done by the road test team. But with this curve, it basically means going through all the limited cars and figuring out whether basically how close that limiter is to their actual top speed, and then figuring out I mean, it's going to come down to like some sort of clever maths, I think, but figuring out, depending on how far away its theoretical top speed is, how quickly it should actually get to the limiter. And that is just, we simply haven't come up with a sort of a nice solution or a nice pipeline for that yet. So yeah, it's an absolutely valid point. It's not accurate. It's going to be not completely accurate in some cases, but it's.
I suppose also what you need is the data for that, to be able to potentially achieve that as well, is that the data is not available for a lot of these cars, what their true top speed would be without a limiter, because they don't exist. They've never been tested. They've not been tested to do that. And also potentially a few of the ones that perhaps don't have a limiter on as an option. Some of the AMG performance pack or drivers packs, whatever they call them, have a raised limiter. They're still limited in some respects. They're limited to 180 rather than 155 or something. So if you then choose that as their top speed, you still have the same issue with trying to work out what the actual sort of acceleration curve to their top speed would be, because that's still not an accurate top speed. And I think that's probably quite an exceedingly difficult thing to sort of to put across the board as well. And with 155 or 159 limit that lots of these cars have, I suppose they are close to their top speed in some respects. I mean, I know that sounds kind of crazy when you've got cars which can maybe, assuming that some certain cars can do almost 200 miles an hour and you've got 155 mile an hour top speed. That 50 mile an hour between, at the limit and, their potential top speed is really, really hard won. There aren't many places where you would, in the world, where certain cars that could feasibly get to 200 miles an hour could actually get to 200 miles an hour. So, when in part of the question is, does it in real life, would it run hard into a limiter? There aren't really many cars that when they get to 155 miles an hour, even something as sort of ballistic as like a E63 AMG, which might be limited to 155. It's not accelerating so hard into its limiter at 155 that you even notice it. You kind of almost, it's taking those miles an hour are coming on slowly. Every single little one comes on, and to the point where it feels like its natural top speed a little bit is where it's limited to. And also quite often, maybe if there's, I think possibly the M5 in the game, which is maybe 159, that's what its top speed is. It probably was 155, but when it was, when that top speed was measured, when it was figured, in real life, the limiter was perhaps a bit off, and it managed to get to 159. And there's no hard and fast rule about it being 155 either. So we add all that into trying to sort of replicate that into a game and across multiple different things to try and standardize it. It becomes, I think, one of those tasks which is possibly impossible. Maybe, I don't know. So yeah, I think it's quite a tricky one.
Yeah, so we'll keep, I think the discussions will still keep surfacing, and we'll keep looking at ways that we could tackle it, but it's like you say, definitely on the tricky list.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, and that's before you get to the upgrade question, which is always a bit surreal, but I don't think we're going to handle it right. Your limit's 155, and then you upgrade your engine, and now your limit's 157. What did you just do?
I know. No, I know. It's for
Don't think about it
what
much.
it's worth. It's one of those sort of professional frustrations knowing that exists in the game, because it's not clean, and it's not, we do, accuracy is a big thing, and we do want to get there. It's just that, this is one of those. I'd say this is one of the few areas where it struggle, where we sort of struggle to find the right way forward. So.
Yeah, and by the way, people have noticed there's a mistake on the image for the GT1 price car. So this is a mistake. I've already let the artists know, and they will fix that. It should be 3.5 and not 3.1. Yeah, so this is just a mistake. This is not foreshadowing any changes to car. It's not going to change corrections. Its MRA is not going to change. It's nothing is going to change. Everything's going to stay the same. So at least it's just a smaller image error in the image. So that was 5 main questions. We've still got about 18, maybe 20 minutes to talk about a couple more things that are quite important. Obviously, but if you guys have any more questions about challenges and things like that, you can still put them in the chat, and we'll try to address them if we can. So the quick update about the new championship and the region feature that Tim has mentioned. The update is that there is no update at the moment with championships. There's nothing we can talk at least about right now. And nothing will probably going to be revealed in the near future. So there is nothing to say at all at the moment. Same with Retune, same as it was really. It will come as part of a sort of bigger update to how cars work in the game, to engine upgrades. So and it will be a one-off. But again, this is not something that is on the radar at the moment. So but we'll obviously keep you updated about all of this whenever the time comes. So there's that. Plus, let's chat quickly about the overfilling bracket, the one that was reported to us on the 10th of April, right? So yeah, 10th of April. I think it was reported by USA Player, where we've had in the daily bracket, which usually has like 100 players, we've had almost 180 by the time it closed or something similar. I don't know, Tim, do you want to talk about it, or I can give a brief overview of what have we found?
Yeah, we just took a look, and it's weird, right? What we can tell, it was isolated. It was just that day. It hasn't happened since. It was just there. It was just those players affected. It started overfilling, I think, pretty much from the beginning, and it's unclear why. And of course, it's always difficult if something happens randomly one time and then doesn't happen again. It's a really hard bug to track down because you can't even replicate what causes it to happen. So obviously we'll keep looking out for that, because that's not how it's supposed to work. At least it was the daily event, which is the least important one it could be. But yeah, no, we're keeping our eyes open. Do let us know if you see it happen again, because we would want to stop it. But right now it's a one-off mystery at this stage.
Yeah, we don't see it happening often at all. So but just to be clear, we do have access to exact data about every single bracket, so we can see everything. So yeah, it doesn't appear to be sort of any sort of widespread issue at the moment. Okay, so a couple of more questions about the challenges. So let's quickly talk about the red envelopes and what's gonna happen to the tokens when you're done with them, when the challenge ends. So the answer is there is no use for any extra envelopes other than the prestige of having won them, really, and the other rewards from that event. And future events will not use the same items, though you may see icons reused in the short term. So that hopefully gives you a bit of an answer in terms of what's happening with the items. And I think, from as far as I know, we can do all kinds of items. We can just come up with everything we want, really, don't we? So we can have anything we want, but for the future events. But red envelopes specifically, there's not going to be any use for them in the future. All right, one for you, Tim, I guess, as well. Clues. in the challenges.
Oh yeah. There was this whole thing with the monthly challenge, right? With the little bit where the character says something, and it was a little clue as to what the next mystery manufacturer is going to be. That's one of the things that's not in the new challenge system, right? We don't have a little person and a little bit of text, so that does go away. But I think I might try and keep it in the messaging that goes out about the event. We'll probably drop something in there so you get that. I haven't worked out. You can get quite a long description in the event, so maybe I'll just cram something in there. I don't know. That's probably a bit of a silly way to do it. Or I had this idea of arcanely coding into the upgrade state of the cars that you face a secret message. It's maybe a little bit too obscure. Technically, that's possible. Yeah. For now, look to the messaging about the events, and that's where you'll get any kind of clue. Yeah.
One great question from the chat regarding being able to buy challenge attempts. I'm not actually sure. I don't think I've looked into that. As far as I know, we do want to allow being able to buy these attempts in the future, right?
Yeah, we talked about giving ourselves lots of levers and options to create different things, and I think that is one that it makes sense to have as one of the ways we could do it in some form. It just wasn't the highest priority to get this version of it out, right? We wanted to see what this looked like. But I think it's quite likely that will come back. And I share the concern of players, that you could miss some days, and now, well, that's it for you. It's impossible. You can't make up for that by spending gold. And of course, it's good for the game when you spend gold. That's kind of what keeps it running. So it would be a bit silly to get rid of that completely when there is demand. So it's quite likely to come.
Yeah. So, and by the way, I think we can mention that we are working on the next sort of small update that will include some additions to challenges, so that you can expect it in the next 2-3 weeks or so. I guess I don't want to give any specific dates, but at least that's the earliest.
I don't know these things, so this is the first time hearing about it. Ooh.
Yeah. So smaller, like a smaller update in the future. But other than that, there's nothing that we have sort of in the pipeline for the. In terms of like big updates in the coming sort of month or so, but it will take more time. Any sort of BL14 or anything like that, this has to wait. We will let you know when the time comes, really. So there is nothing to say at the moment. Okay, so what else do we have left here? Do we have any questions from the comments section? I don't know if we do, that would be great. Otherwise, I'll just have a look at the store of questions that we still have here.
Well, I see Redline idea, a bracket every single player, tier 1 to 10 titanium packs, 11 to 100 plastic packs, and let chaos ensue. I think that's a bit too many people getting titanium packs. 10% of everybody in the game, that's probably more titanium packs than we want to give out. But it does remind me of the silly idea I came up with. I wanted to run an event where the very best prize is not at the top. It's like a bit down from the top or in the middle. And so you have to try and judge your points just right and lose at the end. It's very silly, really. The game isn't designed for that. And there'd be a whole bit at the end where you're trying to quit races to lose points. So maybe that's not a good idea. Anyway, hey, there's a lot of possibilities. Keep coming in with those ideas.
Yeah, by the way, for people who use KTPlay, actually, we're soon bringing an update to it as well that is going to finally fix the issue with uploading images. Yay.
Oh, yeah.
So that's coming fairly soon, I think. I'm just
I was just going to jump in just really quickly with one of the questions kind of in the doc, but it's just the kind of the image quality in the game, and just saying, so some of the photos look like they've been sort of just they're small and they've been blown up. A couple of aspects to this. One is that we are very conscious that, as the game grows, there are a lot of images in the game. There are a lot of cars in the game now. Each one of those, I can't remember what the number is. I think there's like 6 versions of every car image. So whether it's kind of blurred out and then I think 3 different sizes, one without the kind of graphics for the stats, one with all of that. Any sort of even a small increase in kind of resolution of that, obviously if you multiply that across every single car, it starts to mean that the game is potentially getting very, very big on people's phones. And that is something that we are always conscious of. We don't want to take up any more space than is necessary. So that is one of the reasons why we don't just go sort of really high res with the images, because it just would balloon up quite quickly. And I don't know exactly which images are being referred to, but some of them just genuinely are old magazine shots that it's not that I think that it's not that they are, well, I guess maybe it was, maybe when they were scanned in, they were just quite low res. And that's just how that original image exists. That's not to say we can't then replace it with find a different image of that car that's of better quality.
I love this idea we talked about years back, where it's like, oh, what if player has the best photo, they could send it in and license it to us, and that would be so cool. But it's like, and also legal department is like, you want to do what?
I know. You know what?
How would that work?
Yeah, this was being told. Actually, this conversation came up, I think, even the beginning of the week. That we are. I think particularly when we're doing kind of new some of these updates to existing manufacturers, we're getting into the kind of really specialist end of their model lineup, and that just that means it's harder to find the images. So, crowdsourcing it feels like it might have to be something we seriously look at.
I would love it. We were talking about people who get their own cars in. There was somebody, right? There was a player who
there's a friend,
one of the cars we had.
A couple of us went to a track day, bumped into sort of randomly a friend of the CEO's who's just there with his Atom, and he shared a couple of great shots that I think had been taken at a previous track day, and went approved by Ariel and in the game. So
yeah.
Does that mean that at some point we could get the Johnny's Caterham, not just any of it, your actual Caterham in the game? That'd be
with
cool.
Johnny driving.
A picture with Johnny in it, absolutely. Yeah. And all the figures and statistics based on what it's like when you're driving it as well. That's
No, that's I actually love the idea of players' cars. As in, even if they with the details are going to be slightly different from the stock models. Yeah. If somebody's done a few upgrades or it's a non-standard model, that it would be
I can just hear the licensing guys crying out in horror in the distance.
Well, that's not our. Yeah, I was going to say that's not our.
But Will, are you in any of these? Because I know you are in some stock photos or photos you get of cars. Are you in?
Oh, I think this is probably my face in quite a lot of them actually. Yeah, because not obviously lots of the images come through Evo, obviously where I used to work. So lots of the amount of photo shoots that I've been on with cars. I was talking to one of the photographers the other week when he'd forgotten completely that he'd shot one of these cars that we'd been at, because we used to do so many per week. It was kind of relentless, because you're like, oh, we've got a car in, we need to get photos of it, and you could be doing 3 shoots in one day at some point. So you'd be driving all these cars so frequently. So, but yes, my face does appear in quite a few.
Right. New game. Where's Will?
Yes. If anyone can spot me in any of them, then yeah.
Sorry, Dimitri, were you going to...
I was going to just quickly address one of the questions from Redline, which is about the titanium pack used in the new challenge system. So there was, in the announcement post for the 13.1, in the patch notes, there was a screenshot of the new challenge screens, which contain the titanium pack. So this, I just want to be clear, this is just purely from the test version, so this is nothing to do with the real game. When guys set up test versions in the background, they will do some crazy stuff sometimes. They put all kinds of images or prizes that they can have so that the something is there. It doesn't mean that it will be in the game. So I don't think the titanium pack is coming back. So, but even if it did, it's unrelated completely to the screenshot you saw there. So it was just a test version of the game, and it was there. Because I didn't have other versions to take screenshots from, so that's really it for with that. Right, so we have 5 more minutes, and I think we went through everything already. I mean, there is a very, very big question of I'll say it. Where do you guys see games in 3 years' time? I mean, with 5 minutes to go, so I guess maybe we can just a few words on that.
I mean, that's obviously sort of a huge question, and it's very much down to the team and sort of where they're gonna, the sort of core team and where they're planning on taking it. I think I've always, I mean, it's a very vague answer, but I think I've framed it as like the truly unique thing about Top Drives is the quantity and the variety of cars. It was always meant to be about just the world of cars and just how interesting that is and how much variety is there. And we're getting up to, I remember our CEO went on stage before Top Drives launched and made some absolutely crazy claim that we were going to have sort of over 2,000 cars, and we were sitting there with like struggling to get, I think, 700 for launch and telling it, sort of shouting at the screen for him to be quiet. But we're over 2,000 cars. It's not slowing down. The lineup is looking amazing. So we got, I guess the way I see it is just this incredible, ever-growing collection of cars, and the variety is only going to get bigger. And there are just going to be so many different ways to let people play with that size of that sort of collection of cars and be sort of challenged and challenge other people. And I honestly don't think I think we're only scraping the surface of how you can play with a collection of car cards of that scope. So I think for me, if we fast forward 3 years, I would, and this is just personally, but yeah, I would like to think there are some really sort of inventive, interesting, kind of exciting new ways that people are playing with their collections.
Great. So I think we're gonna wrap it up here, guys, because we ran out of questions, and obviously there's gonna be more questions from you guys, especially about challenges, in the future. But our monthly Q&A live streams are not going anywhere. We're gonna come back next month. Plus, I will be doing some live streams in between as well, and don't forget to join our Discord, by the way, where you can communicate with myself and Robin a little bit closer. That we've got quite a few people in there already. It's going really well. I'm hoping to soon get the permanent link finally for it. I've applied for it, but it's still waiting, unfortunately, so it's a bit of a nightmare with all these invites, but join the discussion for sure. All three of you guys, thank you very much for joining today. It was great to see you again and chatting to you about Top Drives, as always, and I'm sure everyone else enjoyed. But yeah, that's it for the day. 3, 2, 1, we'll all be switching. Yeah.
Thanks, Dimitri. Bye.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.